Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show. Today we've got the whole band back together again. We got Pat, What's My Rate, McMasters, Jessica Line back in the dynamic duo of Ruby and Jackie. How's everybody doing?
Doing
Good.
good.
How about you?
Great.
Good. I'm the old guy in the
you?
basement, so occasionally people bring me food, but we're here. We are. So we got Tyler here, put on earlier and said, let's go. Looking forward to another good one. And then Jackie Blue Pool wants to reach out to you, and they're interested in I-17 and North. So I put your contact information in the chat. So
Perfect.
that's
awesome.
Something that's out there. But today we're going to jump. We're just going to dive right into this because we're looking at what the market's really like, and I kind of want to talk about the difference between you're out. Because I know a lot of you have showed homes like resale homes, and then you end up writing a contract on a new build. So I want to dissect the difference in that, some of the things that we're seeing. And so Jessica, I'm going to go ahead and start with you because you and I chatted this morning, and see if I can arrange our picture here a little bit differently. Never mind. I'll leave it alone. So Jessica, you've been showing a lot of homes out in the East Valley, and yet it seems like after all of those homes and everything, you end up writing something out in East Mason, places like Blossom Rock. So what are your buyers seeing that are making them say, nope, let's go here?
The amount of flexibility with current sellers and the conditions of homes. So sellers having homes overpriced, being on market, 90 to 180 days, and not even considering, as I would say anywhere from a 3 to a 5% grace for closing costs. So it dials in on two different components. First is interest rate. We're still interest rate sensitive, and new construction is offering too many incentives for a traditional lender and a buyer and a seller, I should say, that's selling a home to be able to contribute to a new buyer.
Well, and you sent me this morning because you're getting it. This is a typical email that we get. Get everything you need to buy a new home with Brookfield Residential. Check this out: 4.75 fixed rate plus 2.1 buy down. The first year is 2.7, second year 3.75, fixed low rate of 4.75, and $10,000 in closing costs, washer, dryer, and refrigerator. Now, Pat, to get somebody from 7 to 4.75, how much do you think they need to shell out? Because this is a fixed rate for 30 years.
Well, to get from 6 right now, I'm looking today 6.875 down to 5 3/4 would be $20,000. So you're probably looking at probably another close to probably $40,000 to get the 4.
Okay, so you got 40 in rate buy downs, and then you got 10 in closing costs. I mean, my God, 50 grand. So you're looking at, the new build is throwing in 50 grand, and my little caution is that's great, but you better stay there. Because you think about it, let's say this house is $650,000 and they're offering $50,000 in incentives. Okay. You get in there and you need to move in a couple of years, but the development isn't quite done. They're still offering incentives. You don't have the ability to offer those incentives. So you can't mark your house at $650 and say, hey, I'm offering to buy your rate down and giving you $10,000 in closing costs.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct. I think
so.
Now, if sellers on the resale market did that and they pushed prices, it probably would work.
Yeah, it's so is it and Ruby, tell me if you're seeing this on the west side. Is it so there's two plays in here. In other words, the buyers want a deal on a resale home, but the sellers aren't willing to compete at the level that they need to compete against new construction. I don't expect sellers to give you a $30,000 rate buy down, but do you feel like they're maybe in what Jessica's running into dug in a little too tight?
Well, I don't know about, I mean, we're having the same issues around the valley, not just, east side, west side too, but I think the sellers are still willing to give closing costs to the buyers to help with that rate buy down, but they definitely can't give that kind of competition with the builders. There's just not happening. I mean, I just got a contract accepted this last weekend for 3% of 245,000 for my buyer. That was enough to, get him into where he needs to be, but he's still going to have to come, and it's a down payment assistance program. So he's still going to have to come to the market or to the table with like $800. And we're buying him the home warranty so that he can have a home warranty. It was a really tough one.
Yeah, and those are pretty common too. Well, Jackie, are you seeing any movement in base pricing at new builds?
No, you know what? And it was really interesting yesterday. Ruby and I had a client out at Vistancia, and I think it really just kind of goes area to area. Vistancia is still high demand. They're not worrying about it as many people coming in there. They were offering $10,000 in concessions, and that was it. I asked the lady, I said, well, what about a buy down? What about your interest rate? She's like, oh no, that's at market rate. I was quite surprised. Weren't you, Ruby?
I was. That was David Weekley. Yeah, I was surprised as well.
So,
and their lot premiums, sorry to interrupt you, their lot premiums were on the low end, 75,000, and there was one at 120,000. And that lot premium was backed up to a mountain views, but literally you have your short backyard, view fence, and then within 2 to 3 feet, would you say, you're literally looking up the mountainside. And so you're looking at the back of a mountain, but there's no view to that because you're looking at rock.
They didn't plan that very well. It's literally just a slab of rock that has been carved out you're looking at. There's no views. But for instance, I'm in a new build community right now, Alora Vita. And so they're building to the north of me and to the south of me. Now, we got really lucky when we got into here because it was in 2020. So the prices have almost doubled. But there are some people that I know bought in 23 and they're trying to sell now, and they can't give those homes away. I mean, they just cannot price aggressive enough. So we've got Pulte up here, Shea, Lennar, Taylor Morrison. I'm sorry.
D.R. Horton, Lennar.
There's like 7 builders up here, and their incentives are fabulous, but their prices are double what they were in 2020.
But if you bought in 2023 and you're trying to sell in 2 years, I mean, that math never works.
It doesn't.
I don't care if it's a resale or new construction. I mean,
No.
And I caution military people on this too. They're coming in. I'm going to be stationed in the Phoenix area for 2 years. What do you think? And I don't rent.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't buy. I mean, no, yeah. You need an extraordinary year to be able to get out from underneath that. And Pat and I were looking at some stuff. We were talking about this the other day, and I got the link down below. This is from the MLS, and it's new build. So you can search all over the valley here and do a map search and look for new construction homes. It's kind of cool. But so we said, all right, let's kind of unpack this a little bit. Here is a list of homes they've got. And I'm going to have to build a residential search here while I talk about what's coming up here. But if we look at a single family home here, they've got one their base price is $645, and the lot premium is between nothing and $24,600. So it's a 2,300 square foot home, and it's on it's 3-car garage, but it's not telling me my lot size. So that seems to be like the lowest price out there. And this is out in Blossom Rock. So now you look and say, okay, I'm going to move this search page over here for us. And if I say that was a 4-bedroom home, right? No, that was 3-bedroom. Okay. So let's look at Gilbert. Okay. So in other words, we're not going to drive all the way out to Blossom Rock. We're going to go to not Gilbert. So because Gilbert, I mean, it's a great,
Great area.
yeah. You won't find anything
Part of Tibet.
Gilbert. It just, I mean, seriously, 2,300 to 25.
It's the Rick Comedy Hour, I think.
That's why half the people
very
show.
well, very poorly played. So
With the Fab Five.
yeah, that's right. Here we go. Okay. So we've moved in a ways here. Here's a 3-bedroom at Cooley Station. It's 542. Okay. And let's just kind of take a look at it. Now it was obviously listed around Christmas time. So, but it's if I look at the detail, okay, so I'm going to say, all right, it's 2,300 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath called a bedrooms plus 4. It's probably got a bigger lot. Its lot here is about 4,775. So maybe not, it's about the same, but you're down a little bit versus the 650 that we saw out at new builds. But if we get back up to that price point and you look at one here's on Washington Court, and it's 634, and it's on a 6,000 square foot lot. And the other thing is some of these homes have pools. So a pool in a new construction area is going to run you about how much, folks?
Oh,
50 to
100,000.
80,000 plus.
yeah. With the landscape, yeah, up to 100, 120 even.
Just,
Yeah.
I think from my experience, take whatever price you think it is and add probably another 40,000.
So
Yeah.
So there's a couple just quick comparisons to say it's not necessarily extraordinarily more expensive to go from new construction area that we just looked at in Blossom Rock and go into Gilbert. It is if you're going from Maricopa to Gilbert or way out in the West Valley. But the things that you should consider when you're looking at resale homes is, yes, try to get some value out of it. Try to get some concessions. The sellers right now are not desperate. So lowball offers are just, they're not looking at them. And so you need to take into consideration everything else you need when you look at a new build. You're going to get $10,000 in closing costs. And then the other thing that's interesting was that they shared here, and this is probably just a conversation for agents, but 5% broker referral fee. So if I have an agreement with you, Pat, to show you homes and my fee is 3%, I'm not going to get 5.
Well, wait a minute.
Am I?
So, and Ruby, you can go ahead and explain it, but there is something that agents should do just for this instance.
Yes,
Right.
enlighten me.
So on our buyer broker agreement, line 36, we don't put anything on line 34 for the percentage. We put on line 36, 3% resale homes. So first of all, for area, we put Arizona. So a few lines up on that, we put Arizona. Because, if somebody decides they want to buy in Tucson, then we can do a referral to somebody in Tucson and still have that compensation come back to us. But line 36, we put, for example, 3% resale homes, 4% new build construction, plus any bonuses. So that 5%, I mean, we could put 5% on there. I haven't seen, actually Lennar was doing a 5% also, but that's rare. But definitely that's where we address that. But it could also then be readdressed by an addendum.
Okay, because I was, when these come across my desk, I'm looking and going, how is that an incentive if I can't go back in and change anything?
Right.
But I'm glad you cleared that up for us.
We've spent a lot of time on this in our office with our brokers, in our meetings and trainings and stuff on this. There's constant changes and we're constantly learning something new and doing something different, but we're spending a lot of time on this so that we're all covered.
Yeah, I have to. It couldn't get, and by the time you learn it, they're going to change it.
And they have.
It's getting rough.
Let me ask you, can I ask
Go ahead,
the
Pat.
agents, the ladies a question? I mean, like Jessica, I know working with a couple of clients in the past recently, you really do take some time to try to figure out the nuances and the balance between a new build that's out further out versus a resale that might be closer in a town. I know you spend some time about that. Do you see a lot of people just getting enticed by this rate and don't consider anything else? Or do they, you spend some time going over all, the drive, the extra, 35-minute drive, things of that nature?
So if they're being coached by an agent, I think all of that is considered. Really what it does, and believe it or not, the experience I just had, and I think Pat, we got to use you on one of the builders that we did view properties in. They were offering 6%, but you could use any lender. So it was an opportunity where we could have came back and said, hey, use the 6%, do what you can do. But the demand in a lot of the cities like Gilbert, Chandler, probably seeing this on the west side in Peoria, Glendale, where the demand is still fairly high for resale homes in the cities. And anything that's affordable, those houses, if they're maintained and they're at market value, the demand is there and they're going under contract. So the only thing really left is the houses that maybe needed roofs, air conditioning units, bigger expenses. The sellers have overpriced, and we say overpriced. I mean, that's an opinion, right? So somebody from out of state doesn't know, they're counting on their advisors here locally. So believe it or not, I mean, I showed probably 85 homes in the first 3 weeks, and they wanted resale so bad because of location, because of schools. When we did make an offer on the nicely kept homes or the homes that had newer ACs and roofs, we weren't able to negotiate even more than $15,000 or $20,000 to help with the rate buy down. So it did force them, and I say force because it forced them to get frustrated in the ideal areas and push them to where that opportunity became more, it was a more relaxing transaction. Yes, they got less of a house. Yes, they're 20 minutes further, but they have an interest rate and a payment and a new house. They don't have to worry about AC. They don't have to worry about a roof. And new construction isn't perfect. We know that. There's still going to be, home is a home. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. I mean, I think that you guys do a great job of balancing, trying to find concessions. Because if you do get concessions, even like I said, from my standpoint, I really can't compete with new builds. But like I said, from my standpoint, a lot of people, if they want it, my biggest thing is if people want a pool, that really knocks out. I mean, if you're spending a lot of money on a new build pool, I mean, that's just that's going to negate, in my mind, anything that you're getting from the builder in terms of incentive. That's just, what I feel.
Pat, a pool is, I always tell people that a pool's like a new car. So if you want a pool, you're better off to find a house that has a pool, because as soon as you put that pool in, when you do an appraisal, you might be lucky if you get 16 to 20,000. You might get a little bit more for the extra beautiful landscaping or hardscaping they do, but it's like buying a new car and driving off the lot.
That's a beautiful analogy. I never really thought of it that way. That's so true though. And that's why, I mean, I think, I don't know how many people buy a new build and they want to put it, I'm sure maybe half the people want to eventually put a pool in. I mean, who knows? But you're right, because it's amazing. You look at an appraisal, the value that pools only give on appraisals is, like you said, $12,000 to $15,000, but it's going to cost you $80,000 to $100,000 to put one in. I mean, that's something that I think, I'm just bringing up a point. Maybe I'm beating it down, but I think it's something that people really need to consider when they look at the overall picture, because that's definitely going to have a bearing on your finances 2 to 3, 4 years down the road.
Well, the same can be said about solar.
Yeah, solar.
Right. Well, in the early 2000s, adding a pool wasn't that bad of an idea. It was actually affordable and made sense, and you could get one for reasonably priced. 10 to 25,000, you could have a nice pool in your backyard to lounge around in.
Yeah.
But as we've gone along, it's ridiculously expensive.
Well, and that's what goes back to you look at appraisal, like you said, what you were saying, Jackie. I look at appraisals, the value that pools are given, $10,000 to $15,000. I'm like, God, it's just amazing. You can get good value in a resale by getting, if you want a pool. I mean, like I said, I think that's one thing that people. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like you said. Maybe it's just me, but maybe people don't really consider that. I don't see people considering that more in depth like they should. Like, hey, are we going to be putting a pool in?
That's our job, Pat, is to educate them, to explain, like Jessica said earlier, a new build is not perfect, explaining how we have to make sure they have inspections on that and stay on top of it and stay on top of their 1-year inspection, because a lot of people just, I don't want to spend the money on an inspection. It's a brand new house. Everything's going to be perfect. No, it's not going to be perfect. You should have 3 different inspections when a new build's being built. And then you need to talk to them about the landscaping, the pool, the, window treatments, things like that. There's so much more that goes into it. And I'm sure Jessica and Ruby explain that to their clients too.
Oh yeah. I just think that I see people, maybe it's just me, like I said, I'm seeing people really just jump at that enticing 4.99 rate or 4 3/4 and to sit down and really think about it as far as, and then also you're talking about a lot of these new builds are, you're 20, for people, like I said, the last couple we had, obviously a fit, they're comfortable with it, but you also, have to consider in, the distance, if you're driving an extra 20, 25 minutes, that's probably another $200 to $300, $400 a month in gas. And like I said, if you get a resale that you can get a decent buy down on, that's going to give you, give you some room to kind of cut that difference in half. So
who wants to grab?
I guess my whole point is it's not cut and dry.
Who wants to grab Jason's question down below?
I do. Jason, I love this question. Assumable loans. We are seeing quite often. I got advice from a lender. I won't say which lender. That you never go shop for an assumable loan, but if an assumable loan is available, it definitely becomes a viable opportunity for buyers today. The downside of it is the timeline, right, Pat? The timeline to do an assumable is minimum 90 days, typically 6 months. So if you've got a seller that has, did the question go? Am I still answering the right question?
No, your question. Here's Jason's. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I saw the question change. I went, wait.
Yeah, somebody, no one is saying assumable loans is like handing somebody else your mistake.
I have a house I want to sell so bad out in Santiago. The assumable, I think it's a 2.625. It's VA, but an FHA buyer can assume it. What a great opportunity with the rate. The downside for most buyers is you have to be pretty cash heavy because you have to come in with the difference when they purchased it from 2018 to market value today. And then that seller's got to be agreeable to go through the headaches of the loan processing company that's handling the loan to go through that process. And it's minimum 90 days. So if you've got the right buyer and seller and the patience for it, it's absolutely a viable opportunity.
I know my dad was doing a lot of assumables back in the 80s when rates were, way up here. He was wrapping things all the time. You had this product, that product, never put them together and get a blended rate.
Well, the thing of it is now too, though, Jessica, I mean, you got, like you said, people have to have cash because a lot of times people have maybe assumable rate, maybe a $350,000 loan at 2 3/4 or 3%. But if they're buying a $600,000 property, you have to come in, you have to do something to bridge that gap. Now, obviously, you and I, there are HELOC second mortgages. They actually just changed something on that too in terms of the VA. But if you do get a second, your second's going to be 10.5%, and that blended rate, basically bumps up obviously your realistic rate, your real rate, probably back to around low 5.5% range. If you blend the rate in, depending on the loan amount, it depends on the size of the loan, the first and the second.
Well, we got a few headlines that came out, and it goes back to my large percentage of a small number is still a small number. And I got an email that said that there's a spike in mortgage delinquencies and foreclosures, and there's your spike right there. Wait, no, there it is. So I mean, and we compare it to years past. No, let's go to the spike. This is purely for educational purposes only, folks. That's a spike. Now, if the magnifying glass didn't quite help, let me circle it with a red pen. I'll follow that up with the Cromford market folks coming out and saying foreclosures are on the rise. And no doubt some commentators will get excited about this and paint a bleak picture. However, the reality is that foreclosures are merely on their way back to normal from a long period of ultra low foreclosure rates. In fact, they still have far to go to reach normal levels. So it's the foreclosure numbers. It's not there. No one here says I'm ignoring the leading indicators. I'm looking at a lot of stuff. And if you're looking at foreclosure numbers now, and you're looking at delinquency rates now, delinquency rates are going to have to spike up far greater than my magnifying glass showed us. Now, you want to go out 5 years, 2 years, then maybe that's a different number. But from what I'm seeing, sitting at my desk and looking at numbers like that, I don't see a crisis. Now, are there other leading indicators in the economy? Well, there's greater minds than I that say, yeah, we could have some problems, but I can't look at anything else except for, current data. And I'm looking at our active listings, although they're going up now, they're starting to slow a little bit. And I saw that in my 7-day moving average. And you got affordability, sales volumes, job openings, unemployment, prices, delinquency. We had a jobs report come out this week, 183,000 in private jobs increased. Again, not an ugly number. So, I don't know. I know you're looking at some other sites there, and it's fitting what you want to see. And, I encourage you, keep doing that. But I'm not in that camp yet. Am I?
Hey, we lost Rick.
Talking.
The Rick Comedy Hour, and he's gone.
Where the hell did Rick go?
All because we never got back to the solar question he was going to ask.
I kicked us off accidentally. I am back. See how fast I got at that? So
Yeah.
Look at the job openings. Follow EFP research. So anyway, what did I miss here? I was out for like this long.
Yeah.
And let me guess, you guys all talked about me.
Yep.
We did, because I mentioned that we never got back to the solar that you started to talk about.
Yeah, well, let's talk about solar for a second. So solar leased panels, that payment is there, and it's usually a 10-year lease. But if you buy solar panels and put them on your roof, and I've been to some workshops, and they cost about $45,000, the increase in value on your home is really only about $15,000. But if you buy a home that already has solar, and that solar is paid off and it's on the house, that's not a bad deal, is it?
That's not a bad deal if it's paid. Yeah.
But
Or
if you got to finance it, ooh,
Yeah.
That's
Jackie and I talked to this gentleman. Was that a week ago, Jax? That
Yeah.
he actually
Jeff.
he's actually in. Yeah, he's in pre-foreclosure right now.
Those numbers are spiking, remember.
Right. We have numbers to help him with, an investor to buy his property and or even take over the loan. But he got such an extravagant solar system, Tesla solar system with 2 charging battery packs in the garage. And, it's a huge system. Would he say it was $80,000?
Ooh.
And it's leased. It doesn't really matter if it's leased or owned. Yeah. There's no way that an investor or anyone can help him with that.
Well, there's just not enough equity with that to be able to help him save it from foreclosure. So unfortunately, he's going to foreclose because of those solar panels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anyways, not always the best.
Here's an active chart here that I just pulled up since I got rid of it when I decided to hit my mouse incorrectly. This is pending foreclosures right now. This little red dot. This green one, pre-pandemic. Okay. If we compare it to 2009, where are we at there? Foreclosures, 50,000. Get rid of that. We're at 1,200, 1,300. So we're going to get 50,000. Well, let's hope not. I mean, that's going to take one heck of a financial hiccup, isn't it? What about 2006? He asked. Let me do that. It went up to 4,000. But 2006, you remember, this is when people were still buying homes. And the problems started to show up in 2007. And then the foreclosures came in earnest in 2008. In 2009, foreclosures said, hold my beer. and it just takes time. 2006, there was still a lot of FOMO out there.
Oh yeah. No doubt about that.
Buy this now, because you don't worry about next year. If you got to sell, you'll have all this equity. Don't sweat it. So, but I'm illustrating just how low our pre-foreclosure numbers are. Now, can we look out a couple of years and say, wow, they've really gone up? Put a calendar reminder on there and watch my show in 2 years. I will be older. I may not be wiser. So in looking now, and I'm looking at the first quarter numbers, I'm not seeing, I speculated the other day that what I'm really watching now is how many expired listings are we going to have at the end of March? Because I think a lot of sellers said, well, I'm going to see what I can get for my house, see if I could sell it. So I'm only going to sign a 3-month listing, January, February, March. And those will all expire in March, and they're going to go, well, it didn't work. I'm just going to stay put. So no one's asked if I followed Melody right. I've watched her a few times. No opinion. But I think we're going to see inventory go up, and then I think we're going to end up with about another 1,500 and expires. We're now we're about 600. So I think only then is it going to uncover the seriousness of today's seller. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
The sellers now are going, well, let's see. Put it out there. I'm not marking it down 50K. And if I got to do that, I'm going to stay put. I think there's a large percentage of that out there.
A lot. But
I think that we're going to see prices for the 1st of January be relatively flat. Now, there was an article, and I think you sent me one as well, Pat, the 5 markets that are going to see a major downturn. And Zillow had us listed in Phoenix going up 2%. So about 3,000 homes coming to market due to death, highest in history.
Did something happen I'm not aware of?
Yeah, it's not showing up on our numbers. It's just not. It's not seen. I just put up active listings. I'm not showing it. So, and I think if you're waiting for the silver tsunami, I think that's a 10-year journey. So there's just a lot of moving parts out there. And if you're trying to buy a house because you want to make money in 5 years, you want to get in and get out, that ship has probably sailed. You want to buy a house because you want to raise your kids and you want room for a dog, there's more and more opportunities on a daily basis. Affordability is a problem. How's it going to shake out? I don't know. I don't think it's going to shake out with a magic explosion in a crisis. So we'll see. I
think people, if they are thinking about buying a house and they're waiting on interest rates to go down, they should. The price of the homes really aren't going down. We have not seen that happening. So I think, in my opinion, if people are looking and thinking about buying a house, they should not wait on the interest rates. They should make the move. They're still going to get that interest rate. It's going to come down sooner or later, right, Pat?
Yeah, we all hope. Well, I mean, based on that, if you buy great today. I mean, today actually rates have, speaking of rates, they have kind of softened up a little bit in the last week. I mean, we're sitting in the high sixes now. And we were tipping 7 1/8. They've come down a tad, but it's kind of funny. I'm seeing a lot of people on Facebook, some mortgage people saying, "Oh my God, rates are down." I'm like, they soften, but they're not down. I mean, they're down a little. I mean, everybody in the mortgage business, I think, is looking for one glimmer of hope. I just think it's going to be incremental this year. And, you're right, though.
Well, I'm advising a young couple.
I always say, if you lock in at 6 3/4 today and rates go up to 8 3/4, you're happy because you locked in at 6 3/4. If rates stay the same, they stay the same. And if they go down, you refinance. So it is what it is. So.
Well, I'm advising a young couple right now whose lease is going to be up in August and they want to buy. And so I said, don't get in a hurry. I said, I want you to go see a lender now. You will be that lender's favorite client because you're giving them plenty of time to look at your situation and try to help you with any adjustments you may need to make on payments and credit. And so you'll be well aligned, and then start looking in May, no sooner. I don't see prices getting away from us. We could have some relief, but don't jump in now. And and I know they're looking at houses right now, and I'm just, I'm being very patient. I'm just shaking my head and going, yeah, we'll wait till April. You're going to have a lot more to look at, just based on where we're trending. And if your lease isn't up till August, don't get to where you found this house you want today, and now you got to pay the remainder on your lease. Don't worry. There's going to be inventory available for you, and we can time it to where moving in August is going to work out just fine. But I think getting with your lender now, that's crucial. Is that too soon? Absolutely not. Right, Pat? I mean,
it's never really too soon, to be honest with you. I mean, if people have kind of an idea where their credit is, I don't want to do a credit pull. You can do a soft pull, but you don't want to do a hard pull. I mean, one thing about some of these call centers, they'll do a hard pull right away. I just think that's really not doing the justice to a client, because you're going to just have an inquiry on your credit and it's going to expire in 90 days. So for the most part, people kind of know where their credit's at. I mean, they know they've been paying on time. There's a few situations you might be on the border, but you could do a soft pull, at least see where you're at. But yeah, there's never enough. I mean, it's great to have more time than not enough time. There's nothing worse than, Jessica calling me and she hasn't called a client. No, I'm just kidding. Jessica calls me on a weekend and say, "Hey, I need a pre-qual." Well, I haven't even talked to the client. No, she never does that to me, but I'm just saying, I'm just putting her on the spot. But, or Jackie, or Ruby. But it's nice to have. I mean, that's where you run into problems if you're not pre-qualified and you're out looking for homes, and then all of a sudden says, "Hey, we got a contract. Oh, let's run your numbers. Oh boy, that's where you run into. You get tripped up 2-3 weeks down the road."
Yeah, and I've seen that. You didn't tell us about this car loan. Oh, well, yeah, it's my loan, but my son pays it. Yeah, but it's your loan. I didn't think that mattered.
Another thought to add to that is, a lot of times people don't know that there's small things that can be done to improve their credit. And if you're doing it, 30 or 60 days out, you may not have enough time to get that credit to that next bump, because Pat, you'll break it down to if there's a 680 or a 700 or 720, because pricing does get more favorable for better credit. And that can make affordability, for somebody that is looking for a $600,000 house, maybe even jump them up to 650 and they can afford a bigger house or that pool. So the credit side of things, there's some simple things that you guys do as lenders that can help them bump up credit.
Biggest
make the financial picture better.
The biggest thing that I see is people have it, maybe they wanted to pay off a credit card. Like, I'll get a call and say, "I just paid off a credit card a week ago," and just wait a couple of weeks. Because typically it takes about 30 days for the credit to season up, to get reported to the credit agency to have an influence on the credit score. But yeah, if you could be doing that 3 to 4 or 5 months out beforehand, paying your credit card balances down to a reasonable amount. If you got a $10,000 card with a limit, you owe $10,000, pay it down to, if you can, you got the monies to pay it down to 1,000 or 2,000, you know, in a reasonable range. Don't close it. You know, that's a big, you know, probably repeated this a couple of times. Don't ever close it. Don't pay off a collection account, old collection account. That'll just, you're basically waking up a bear. So there's a lot of there's things in the guideline report, Fannie Mae, that we don't have to basically count collections now to a certain degree. So, and sometimes they'll tell us we have to, you know, there might be something that has to be paid off, but you know, that comes at underwriting. But for the most part, people will pay collections and their score goes down from 690 or 700 down to 650, just because they opened up that account again. So if you could do that stuff 3 to 4 or 5 months ahead of time, that's gonna be huge. So,
well, gang, thanks for jumping on today and talking about resales versus new. I'm going to be out of commission next week. Jessica may be filling in for me and keeping you updated. I won't be out long. I will be out a few days, and I will be back even older and wiser. So
Debbie M, I wonder if she's got a question or get pre-qualified. Give me a call if you got any questions, Debbie M. I'm just wondering, there's one bank that I know of, Washington Federal, that is no longer originating home loans. They just stopped doing them 2 weeks ago, which is unfortunate. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Be more than happy to help you in any way I can.
Yeah, Debbie, it's let them let a mortgage broker shop for you. So instead of, you have to do all the legwork there. And no one says looking at renting a 1.2 million house for $3,200 a month rent, no brainer. Let me know if it's got an extra room and how big is the pool.
Right.
Builders think magic will happen in March, i.e. spring buyer. I don't know. I think they're smarter now than they have been. His contact information is down below in the description, Debbie. If you just scroll down in the YouTube video, go down. Pat's stuff's right there, unless you want to shout out your number right now, Pat.
480-251-1691.
Okie dokie. Well, everybody, I will see you on the flip side in a week or two.
Yeah.
And thank you, everybody, for your help and support. And I'll let you know how the Jell-O was.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.